Right, if you go into a casino, or certainly if you play online, you'll come across a wide range of rather baffling terms for side bets that you can have in blackjack. It's separate entirely to the object of the game to get near 21. These are little gimmicks that the casino likes to have. They're usually very high percentage takes for the casinos, so you can avoid them if you don't really want to. But the bonus of playing them is that you can win fairly large amounts, even as much as £20,000 in one hand. And that's, like the lottery, an attraction to many people. And it certainly does you no harm to know what they're all about and what the sort of take is. We'll start off with something which is very popular, has probably been the first side bet that's been on the internet and really in casinos in Vegas and Atlantic City, and it's called perfect pairs. It's anything but perfect in the sense that the house take is about 5%, but nevertheless, it is still a popular bet that many people will take. So there's no difference to the dealing. The cards are dealt in the normal way, and a card face up for the dealer. Now, the side bet is settled almost always, I think without exception, with one exception which we'll come to a bit later, on the first 2 or 3 cards that are dealt. And perfect pairs pays out if the 2 cards are of the same rank. Usually pays at 7-1, some casinos 8-1, it can vary. And they also pay if the 2 cards are the same suit as well as the same rank. So if this had been 2 of hearts and 2 of hearts, that would have paid out at 25-1. So the perfect pairs bet has a return to the player, which is they always have to state it on the site, of about 95%. That means that you will lose 5% of your stake on average every time. So it's a bet to be avoided, and you need to know what it is. But there will be occasions when, for example, the deck has got a large number of a particular rank when the bet could be favourable. And I have actually placed the bet myself when the situation has been fine. But that explains perfect pairs. We'll move on to another one in a moment, which is called 21 plus 3, although it has other names as well, in sort of Lucky Lucky, I think, is one of its names as well. But each casino will really decide on the side bets themselves. Let's show another example in a second. Right, I'm moving on now to the 21 plus 3 side bet, which is a bit of a mystery. And there are various versions of this with different payouts. They almost always pay out on things like a 3-card flush or a 3-card straight, or a 3-card straight flush, or 3 of the same rank, or things of that sort. And if you look at the websites, if you're playing online, or if you're in a casino, it'll display what the payouts are. So there's no point trying to identify every single one. We'll give an example here for 2 of the main websites, 32 Red and William Hill, 2 of the big UK casinos. They have a bet. So here this would be an example where the player having the side bet, he has to put an original bet in as well, but he might have a side bet of say £5 on a little box, which would be, as we see in the display here from a casino, you will see that there's boxes which tell you which bet you're placing. And the 21 plus 3 bet always pays out rather a lot for having 3 cards of the same rank in the same, 3 cards of the same suit in order as a run. If they'd been the same rank, it would have paid out very large amounts as well. And the payouts of these might be as high as 500-1, and you can win a large amount, £2,500 in one go. But of course, you will lose in the long run. Like with buying a lottery ticket, you're not going to get 100% of your money back. Okay, we'll move on to a bet that sort of was doing the rounds in Las Vegas for many years, but they occasionally got unlucky when the player has counting the number of 7s that have gone, and the bet is called Crazy Sevens. It's still around on a number of casinos at the moment, and occasionally has an advantage for the player when they play with a shoe, which is usually 6 to 8 decks, and they keep on dealing until about half of the shoe has gone, and then there may be a large number of sevens still in the deck, and lo and behold, the astute punter puts a bet on crazy sevens and he wins. The way it works, 3 cards are dealt the same way, and if the 2 cards of the player are both sevens, the player wins a significant amount. But if the 3rd card is also a 7, then the player might win 500 to 1 or even 1,000 to 1. And when you're playing with a shoe, you have 6 to 8 decks. You can have all 3 of the sevens being of the same suit, which you can't have obviously with only 1 deck as we're playing here. And I've seen 25,000 to 1 being offered by some sites, and yet the return to the player normally is around about 95%. It varies slightly depending on the rules. But that's crazy sevens. Certainly not to be completely ignored. If you're prepared to do a bit of counting and keep track of all the sevens that have gone, it could be the bet for you. So we have one final side bet, which is great fun and very hard to calculate really. So you'd have to have a program like Diablo, which is a software program I created in order to actually diagnose when you had an advantage. But that is a bet on whether the dealer will bust. And the dealer normally busts about a quarter of the time. And the payout depends on how many cards the dealer busts with. So we're going to show an example here of the player winning a very large amount of money. We're going to look now at one final bet called the Bust It bet. It's called Buster or Bust It or Lucky Bust or various other things by different casinos. I always like to have their own little phrases for these bets. But essentially it's a bet that the dealer will bust. And the bust means that the dealer goes over 21 at some point, at any number of cards. And it'll pay more depending on how many cards the dealer busts with. Typically 7 cards or 8 cards might pay 10,000 to 1 or something like that. So here in this example, the player has 12 against a 5. And if we remember our basic strategy, when the dealer has a small card, the player should stand with a total between 12 and 16. And this is an example where the player correctly stands. So the player had placed a £5 bet on Bust It, in addition to the £10 bet he had to play on the main hand. So the main hand and the Bust It bet are settled separately. So the dealer turns over her card. She's got a 9. The next card's a 2, so she's got 11. She's got to take some more. The next card's a 3. She's got to take another card. 9, 11, 14, 16. So we're really hopeful now. If she gets a card bigger than a 5, she will have bust, and she does. She gets 26, I think it is, 11, yeah, 26, which is a bust with 6 cards. And for example, on I think William Hill and 32 Red, that pays about 200 to 1 for a bust with 6 cards, which would be a very good result. Now, the bet itself, of course, if you place it every time, will have a return of about 95%. But when there's a lot of small cards in the deck, you will actually find the bet sometimes favours you. The dealer is less likely to go bust, but you're more likely to win this sort of big bonus amount. So have fun, and you'd have to use a Blackjack program in order to diagnose when the bet's favourable for you. Because I don't think the calculations, even Dustin Hoffman in The Rain Man would struggle to work it out. Thank you.